Hi, my name is Jeff Noble, and my job is to travel the world to teach people about fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. I got interested in fetal alcohol after struggling as a foster parent to a young man on the spectrum. After learning how difficult this disability is, I've made it my life's mission to educate others, to help people understand that individuals with fetal alcohol and their families aren't bad, they're just misunderstood. So I'm using the show to share their stories in hopes, in the end, you'll come away with education, inspiration, and understanding. Welcome to Making Sense of FASD. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Making Sense of FASD. I'm your host, Jeff Noble. Thank you so much for watching it. I really appreciate it. If you haven't seen episode 1, if this is your first time checking us out, I really appreciate it. But I think you should do is go check out episode 1 with Kyle Burt. I share a little bit about my story, and you'll see an awesome interview with an excellent adult with fetal alcohol, Kyle. He did such a great job. For those of you who are following on the journey on episode 2, welcome back. I really appreciate it. I was actually blown away by the response and the shares and the likes, so I really appreciate it. I just want to mention a few of you, like Carol, Trisha, Lisa, Sarah, Tasha, Stephanie. You know what I sound like? Did you guys ever see that show Romper Room, where the lady had the magic mirror and she would call out some names?
Magic mirror, tell me today, did all my friends have fun at play? All my friends had fun today. I see David's having a special day today, and Olivia Joy had a special day on Sunday, and I see Robin had a special day yesterday, and Dana's having a special day today, and so is Reginald and Edward John and Margaret, and I see Justin and Megan and Courtney and Brick and Mark and Rachel and Sheila and Caroline are all having special days, and Cicely and Ashley and Matthew and Jose, and I see Bonnie and Anthony and Joe had special days yesterday, and so did Tammy and Brandon and Gregory, and of course, friends, you know I see you, and I'll see you again.
And she never called my name? Whatever. Anyways, that's what I feel like, but I just wanted to mention some names because I really appreciate the fact that you're sharing the stuff. The comments about it being hopeful and inspiring is exactly what I'm going for, because my plan is to show you enough people doing well, not only with fetal alcohol, but also doing work in the fetal alcohol field, that you'll start to believe that good things can happen. And belief is 3/4 of the battle. That's what I feel. What happened to me last week? I was in Vancouver, British Columbia. Pretty lucky guy because I get to, I'm the ambassador. I'm on the ambassador committee for the Canadian FASD Research Network. So basically it's like a wide research network all about fetal alcohol, and I'm so pumped to be affiliated with them because I've been using their stuff when I've been teaching for years, and the fact that we've kind of collabed, it's working well. So what they did is they brought me to Vancouver for the 8th International FASD conference, and this conference was all about adolescents and adults with fetal alcohol. It was really, really cool. But what I got to do is sit down and talk to researchers and experts who are doing really good things. So big shout out to canfasd.ca to check them out. The videos are going to be edited, heavily edited, I might add, and then they're going to be distributed on CanFASD's Facebook page. So I'll make sure I link that below in the description. You know, we'll link everything in the description below that we talk about. So it was really cool. I can't wait to show you. I'm going to keep a lid on what we kind of talked about, unless you were able to see some of the live footage that we did. But there's some great announcements. Things are happening. People are doing work. So I was in Vancouver. It was awesome. And I also got to meet Kyle, the interview from episode 1. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. But he was a cool kid. Well, he's an adult, so I shouldn't say that. But nice guy. Lots of fun. It was really good to meet him. What was great about the conference in Vancouver is I think there was about 60 to 70 individuals with fetal alcohol there, and it was awesome. They livened up the party, right? If you ever wanted to liven up a party or an event, bring individuals on the spectrum because they're really good at it. They got so much personality, and you know what? A lot of them do not care what you think of them, so it's great, and they just liven it up. It fills my cup up, makes me feel really good, so that's awesome. So we are here today. If you're watching this, I'm interviewing another adult with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, but she's kind of famous, right? She is the first person that I read about with fetal alcohol. So there's a book. And I thought I had the book, but I don't. But anywho, it's called Damaged Angels. It's by Bonnie Buxton, right? If you haven't, boom, description's going to be in the link below. Get the book, right? It is the first book I read about fetal alcohol, and it's all about a mom's story with her daughter, Colette. I almost said Claudette. Sorry, Colette. With Colette Philcox, and it starts with I'll give just a little spoiler. It starts with Bonnie meeting her daughter at like a McDonald's because her daughter is truant and on the street, and then it kind of goes from there, the backstory. I don't want to ruin it for you, but I interviewed her. So we had her, and now she's all grown up. She's, 38 years old. She's a mom. She's a birth mom on top of that. So we're going to talk about that. She has a job, she balances a family, and she gives some really good advice to either caregivers or individuals with fetal alcohol that are going to watch this.
So I've been around it since I was 18.
How has it affected your life?
In the beginning, it was rough. Learning disabilities in school. I had issues with drugs. Got running with the wrong crew. Kids early. An abusive relationship with the father of the children.
Were you able, at that point, did you have a sense as to what was going on, or was it years later that you were able to kind of track back and say, well, this is perhaps why I made some of the decisions that I had, or this is why some of the things had happened to me?
Once I got the diagnosis, It was an eye-opener.
How old were you?
18.
18.
Yeah.
An eye-opener. How so?
Well, it explained some of the stuff that was going on at a younger age.
Yeah.
Like the issues in school, feeling like not fitting in, not like the rest of the kids in the class. She
just gets it. She's been through it all. There's, so she was totally an open book. She was great to talk to. I'm going to put a little bit of a warning here because I got some feedback saying that your kids, you're showing this to your kids. I'm just going to let you know that she does talk about marijuana. So, viewer discretion is advised. I'm totally cool with it, but I don't want you guys writing me and saying, hey, pal, I let my kid watch this and now he thinks the answer is smoking weed. And that's not the case, right? So I'll let you know that. She does talk about that. So just viewer discretion advised if you got kids, right? For the rest of us, no matter. She gives some really good insight. I love these candid conversations about what's working for her, right? And again, just because we know one person with fetal alcohol means we just know one person. She's just giving her opinion, her advice of what works for her. Everybody is different. So again, we're going to talk to Colette. She's a mom on the spectrum, doing really well. So I'm going to introduce her to her. I'm going to introduce her to you right now. So let's cool transition.
All right. So here we are. Finally got Colette. Colette, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely, buddy. Because you're like famous, right? Your mom wrote a famous book, and it's awesome to talk to you now because I just read about it and read about you. So if you haven't read Damaged Angels, you might want to maybe read it before you watch this interview because it's going to be spoiler heavy, right? For sure. So let's like post book now, because that was written about 10, 15 years ago. Okay, so you're an individual with fetal alcohol, but you're also a birth mom, and you have a job and you juggle all this stuff. But I want to bring it back to the beginning a little bit. Did you know as a kid before you got diagnosed something was different?
I knew that something was awry. I really didn't fit in with the so-called cliques that you see in school. I was the one running with the kids that, athletic, but not into education. And, just doing my own thing. So
Was school tough for you?
It was. I didn't start reading until grade 5, grade 6. And that's when I found Stephen King.
Oh, so has that got you interested in reading?
In reading, yeah. Yeah. I'm a horror fan, big time.
Oh, first thing I learned about you. Okay, cool.
That's it.
So what, okay, so then how were you introduced to reading? Did you watch a Stephen King movie and then want to try and read the book? How did that happen?
Well, no. We went to the school library, and there happened to be a Pet Cemetery in there. And I saw the cover, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So I picked up the book and took it out and sat in class trying to get the words, and I finally did.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So then, you teach yourself to read at 5 or 6, great. Okay. Now, we both love animals too. So that's weird that you Pet Cemetery is scary. Anyways. Okay. Moving on. So in school, you're doing your own thing, but having a tough time. What grade did you make it to? Oh,
I finished. I went back. And I finished.
Before, because there's a period, right? That you left school?
I'd say grade 11, and then I went back for 12.
What was going on? What was going on inside your head?
Nobody understood me. Rebellious. I got into running with the wrong crowd. Doing drugs, partying.
Right, because. When we say running with the wrong crowd, and I'm coming from the perspective of hopefully what's happening is parents are showing their kids with fetal alcohol this, right? Yes. So I'm trying to connect your story to what they're going through. Okay.
Yeah.
Just so you know where I'm coming from. Now, you said you hung with the jocks, right? Because they didn't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was grade school.
Okay, but now in high school,
high school, it was more the party goth type clique,
hanging out by the rocks, smoking cigarettes.
Yes.
Okay, I know. Yes. I know. I love those. I love those people.
No, me too.
So was it because you were accepted? Like they accepted you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They didn't care if I couldn't get good grades. They didn't care that I couldn't run a football 12 yards or they accepted me for who I was.
And so that you could be
questions asked.
Right. And if maybe you became impulsive or you had a meltdown, like they didn't shun you from the clique, right? You were still welcome back.
Exactly. They just, she's having a bad day.
Do you think that's because maybe some of them were on the spectrum as well? So you got each other? I
wouldn't doubt it. I really wouldn't doubt it. If I look back, I can pretty much tell you 4 or 5 people that I used to hang with who were definitely on the spectrum, but undiagnosed.
Right, because they're saying, I'm going through this too. Yeah. Oh, she's having a bad day, right? I get her. Oh, yeah. Okay. But then, the drugs and the alcohol.
Yeah.
And that led to you being on the street.
Well, first it led for me to go into, it led to the street and then led me to go when I got off the street. Actually, maybe it'd be the other way around. I ended up at Hank's Treatment Center.
Yeah.
14 to 16. I came back, got back in with the wrong crowd again. Mm-hmm. And then that's when my parents kicked me out of the house because I was really bad.
Right. Like,
I had every lyric you could think from Metallica written in permanent marker on my wall.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And really weird looking satanic faces all over my walls. And my parents just out.
Were you just like pissed?
Yeah, all the time. All the time. The only time I felt normal was when we'd go up to the cottage in Bancroft. It was a 58-acre of forest. No electricity, no running water, no civilization, no, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I felt at home. I felt normal. I felt myself. Which is strange. Some people look at that and go, what's up with that? But
I get it. Being from Northern Ontario, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Because maybe it was quiet, like sensory wise, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And also I'm very into nature. and I guess people call me like a keyboard water protector warrior type thing.
Social justice warrior.
Yeah, basically.
Well, but I'll be honest, that stuff that was going on in Red Rock,
Standing Rock.
Standing Rock. I would have never have known about it, but you were retweeting, you were sharing the live feeds.
Oh, totally. Cool. It was insane.
Yeah, but that's good. I think you made me know about the issue. I had no idea. So
yeah. Oh, totally.
Sister, I'll call that activism.
Okay, let's call it activism.
Okay, go. Okay, so boom, kicked out, nowhere to go.
Yeah, ended up on the streets of downtown Toronto. Became a squeegee kid. Mm-hmm. Got hooked up with the kid's father.
Your first
and then
kid.
It was spent maybe 6 to 8 months out there. And my mom said to me that, back when they adopted me, they had gotten Canada Savings Bonds, and they were coming to maturity. So that's what helped me get off the streets with my parents' help, is we were able to get an apartment. It was a little small bachelor apartment in East York. So at the time, the kid's father was still with him, so he came with me. Ended up getting pregnant. And every Friday he'd come home from his so-called job and want to go to, there's a restaurant at Coxwell and O'Connor.
Right.
I can't remember the name of it.
It's all good.
And we'd go for dinner. And if I didn't have a drink with him at dinner, I'd come home and I'd get beat.
Yeah. So this is where, because not only you're on the spectrum, birth mom.
Yeah.
And you would not even want to drink.
No.
Abusive relationship. And so a beer is better than getting your ass kicked.
Yeah. Especially while being pregnant. You know what I mean? You don't want to be beaten while you're pregnant. It's
right.
Not good for the baby, even though alcohol's not good for the baby, but.
Right.
Yeah.
The lesser of two evils, almost, you are afraid to maybe lose the baby.
That's it. That's it.
So, because, the first thing I hear or read when something on FASD comes out, it's those mothers,
yes.
right?
Oh,
those
yeah.
alcoholic mothers. I'm sure you've heard it all. I don't have to rehash it.
Yeah.
But what you're saying, and what we know to be true through the research, is that 50% of pregnancies are unplanned. So a lot of women don't know they're pregnant, because you could go 2 months, 3 months, even without even knowing, right?
Yeah, I went 6 months.
And you didn't know. And on top of that,
gain weight, still had my period, finally something didn't feel right. So I went for a blood test at a walk-in.
Right. And so, but the contributing factor was not just alcohol, because alcohol is just a risk factor. It doesn't lead directly to a diagnosis. But that must have been a stressful pregnancy for you.
Oh, it was.
Just getting off the street, but being in a physically abusive relationship.
Oh, very much
and that's what the studies show. I was just talking to Dr. Sterling Claren, and when they were first doing studies, he said 100% of the women on the spectrum that gave birth to babies on the spectrum, suffered physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental health issues.
Yeah.
So it's quite common. So I'm so thankful that you're speaking up, because you're a normal person. And
I try to be.
Yeah, but it could happen to anybody.
Oh, it could. It could. And it could happen to my cousin. It could happen to my daughter. I would hope not my daughter, but it could happen to anybody.
And there's more contributing factors. You didn't drink because you wanted to. It's not that women are doing this to hurt their babies on purpose. There's other factors.
That's right.
So trolls, consider that before you start saying it's the woman's fault and it's their decision, because it's not always. If I had a mic, I'd drop it. Yeah. I digress. Okay. So, moving forward, I'm talking about your past, and you're having a giggle.
Yeah,
I appreciate the candor and the.
It's all good, man.
Okay, so moving forward here, you get off the street.
Yeah,
it's because they could provide a house, but were you ready to get off?
Oh, totally. I was done. I was done with that lifestyle. Pardon?
Did you go through the winter on the street?
Yeah. Yeah, I squatted at the Rooster Squat, and that was definitely interesting. The Rooster Squat is off of Lakeshore down by Cherry. I believe it's an old grain silo that they used to use to offload the freighters.
Yeah.
And they've taken down the actual Rooster Squat, and the other silo's still up.
Right.
At one point recently, they had it as a tent city area for the homeless. It's definitely not a lifestyle for anybody. I must admit, I was probably the cleanest street kid out there, though.
Yeah.
Anywhere I could find a shower, I took it.
Yeah,
so I really didn't look homeless other than squeegeeing.
And the same thing with the kids on the rock.
Yeah.
The kids on the street.
Yeah.
You think a lot were on the spectrum?
I would assume so, yeah. Or they're just out there trying to get away from bad home situations too.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, because home situations are awful.
Yeah,
okay.
They can be.
So, and your parents, by the way, so they gave you the boot, okay?
Yeah.
But having said that, they were still with you because
totally. My mom would fly downtown Toronto in her car in the middle of winter, and she'd go corner by corner along Front and Lakeshore and Richmond and trying to find me. And then when she'd find me, we'd go out and get something to eat. And we'd sit and talk and hash out the day and the week and stuff that's been going on. And she'd update me about family and what's been going on at home. And so
that must have been so key, because knowing that they loved you and that they weren't going to just drop you, even though they gave you the boot.
Yeah. Oh, that was amazing. You don't see that at all. Most parents who kick you out of the house just don't want anything to do with you.
Right. But you could imagine how tough it was for them too.
Oh, completely.
Mm-hmm.
Completely.
This is all hindsight though, but not in the moment, right?
No, not in the moment. You'll never get it in the moment, because, all you want to do is clear your life of the hassle in a way, or the negativity.
Yep. And all those expectations on you.
Yes.
And then failing all the time and feeling crap from that.
Well, that's exactly it.
Boom.
Exactly.
Bang on. You get off the street. You're in an apartment. You're in an abusive relationship.
Yep.
You have a child.
Yep.
On the spectrum.
Yes.
When did he get that? He? I don't need his name, but he?
Yeah. Well, you can. It's Kenny.
Okay, so Kenny.
Yeah.
How old did he get diagnosed?
I believe he was grade school age.
Grade school age.
Yeah,
cool.
My parents did all of that. It got to the point where after him, I had another child who is completely unaffected.
Right.
Yeah, I grew some balls.
Yeah, no, you just weren't you were in the better environment.
Oh yeah, totally.
And if you
he was still around, but I was more mentally and physically capable of dealing with his crap.
Right. But you were also maturing. Your brain was developing, right? You were in a decent environment. Let's not forget to say that your parents are one of the best advocates on the planet, right? They run
they try. They try.
They do awesome. So they run FAS World. So they got Kenny the diagnosis.
Yes.
How is, when you started out, how was being a parent to someone?
Oh, it was hard. It was hard. Getting up every 3 hours to feed him, having to deal with his birth father's issues at the same time as dealing with Kenny as a baby. Mm-hmm. But he wasn't that bad compared to Vicky, my daughter.
So Vicky's the neurotypical, but she was worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she's amazing. Mind you, she cried from birth to 6 months straight.
So and none of that time you wanted to go back to drugs, or were you still dealing with substance issues?
You know what? Nothing heavier than pot.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in marijuana and CBDs, and the medical aspect of it.
Cool.
I refuse to take, say, Ritalin or what's Kenny on?
Concerta.
Yes, Concerta.
Adderall, those type of things.
I don't believe in pharmaceuticals that much, except for Advil when I've got a migraine, because I need it.
Yeah.
if that was the case, I'd be taking sleeping pills,
Right.
sleep at night. Instead, I smoke a joint at night and I sleep all night, no issues.
Because we're also dealing with trauma, right? You were in a
Yes.
physically abusive
Yeah,
relationship.
PTSD.
Right. So not only on top of the FASD and trauma, which a
Yeah.
lot of our folks are dealing with.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about and we'll jump back into the family part.
Yeah.
But on a symptomatic level with FAS,
Yeah.
what are some of your symptoms? Like, what are some of the things you struggle with, that are problematic to you?
Now or in the past?
Let's go now, because you're an adult. Because what are you still? Is there memory issues?
There's some memory issues. Nothing major, just little things. But I also leave little hints for myself.
Okay.
Say for work, our job is to, at the end of the day after our shift, we have to report back to the head office. And so basically I need to, in my documents on my iPhone, I record everything that needs to be recorded. So that way nothing gets forgotten.
You have to learn that skill though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a lot of life learning things. But
so before you got a handle on this, then let's maybe go back before. What were some of the symptoms that you struggled with before? Because I'm thinking if there's a kid watching this, that they think, oh, I go through that.
Yeah. Behavioral. Mm-hmm. So I was not into authority. Learning disabilities. Right. Huge learning disabilities like reading, writing, comprehension. And the worst thing about it with these learning disabilities, my parents are highly educated and very well spoken. And so for me to have these issues, for me to think, oh, these guys are so smart and I'm so dumb, you know what I mean? So there was issues there for sure.
Yeah, because you'd feel bad because nobody wants to feel dumb.
No, exactly.
And so that would make you angry, right?
Oh, totally.
And instead of saying, I feel this way, you would show it in other ways. You'd freak out.
Oh, totally. I'd punch a hole in the wall or take off or.
No, I hear you. This is what happens. This families are dealing with this. So
totally.
I appreciate you sharing that. So, but then as you developed and got older and were in a better environment, you kind of learned to overcome these deficits.
Oh, totally. It's, they've got what they give parents is like tools to deal with a child. Like I can't remember the acronym for it. But for someone living with fetal alcohol, it's basically trial and error.
Right. What works for that?
What works for you and what doesn't.
Okay, let's talk about that. So you're a mom, you work, house, blah, dogs, blah, blah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to get pissed off once in a while, right?
Oh, totally. And I do.
So what do you do when you get angry? How do you calm yourself down? What is a strategy that you use?
I found as a teenager, they put me through a anger management course. And I find myself sometimes, depending on how angry I get, reverting back to some of that.
Those teachings.
Oh yeah. Cool. Counting to 10 and then counting back down to 1, screaming in a pillow, or even just letting them have it. If the kids have really pissed me off, they know about it and they can just tell by the look on my face that they're going to get cussed out. Yeah.
That's called being a regular mom.
Yeah, exactly. So they know, and they just kind of leave me alone. If it gets really to the point where I just feel like, just hitting something, I'll go smoke a joint.
Okay. Well, appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I just settle right down.
And that works for you and you're chilled out. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Now, because you're dealing with it, because you're working now. I see your pictures. You work in the film industry.
Yep.
Does your job know about it?
No,
No,
No.
you Zippola and you just do
No.
your job.
they know I do some advocacy for fetal alcohol syndrome.
Okay.
But they don't know that I actually have a diagnosis of FASD. Well, it's actually ARND, but it's still
Right. Yeah, it's still on the. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And so, because you never needed to, you never were in a situation where
no,
perhaps a symptom,
Nope. Not at all.
Is it
I
because-
find in the film industry,
Yeah.
People might think this is weird, but the film industry is filled with weird people, very weird people. And I want to say that probably 90% of them have some sort of FASD.
Something.
Yeah, something, definitely.
Because they're weird. I love that.
Oh yeah, they are. They are. We was working on one show, and our sound guy used to ride the sound trolley and sing to himself all day. It was craziness.
But he did his job.
Yeah, but he did his job,
And nobody bats an eye.
No, exactly. It's the film industry. You have to be a little wonky to work in it.
So you fit right in.
Oh yeah.
Because you go to all these crazy places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
like if are you open to having people who watch this follow you on Facebook?
That's fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll put your thing in the description below because I like your pictures. I'm here today. I'm doing this today.
Man.
But you have some long hours.
Oh yeah. There's a week in, when was it? December, January. Mm-hmm. We were shooting Impulse, and we were in Cayuga. I put in a 75-hour week.
How do you maintain that? I mean, that's hard for anybody, but let alone sometimes wouldn't your brain work at twice the speed, in some areas to keep, what do you do?
I just plug through, just keep going, and when I get tired, I'll say, listen, you know what? I need a break. Send me a relief. And they'll they'll send me a relief, and I get 15, 20 minutes to chill out. And then I go back to work.
Did you have other jobs before finding this one?
Oh, totally.
And some of them didn't fit?
Well, they fit, but they didn't fit. Before this one, I worked on a horse farm. I was there for, I think, 2-3 years, maybe 5. I'm not 100% sure. And that was a fit, except for I didn't get along very well with the barn owner because she had different ways of doing things that I thought should be done. And I've been in and around horses since I was, I'm going to say 6 months old because my foster family had horses. So some of the things that she was doing, I didn't agree with. So I just took a step back and I quit. Subsequently, my daughter now works there.
Oh yeah, well,
she's doing well. And then before that, I was grooming, dog grooming.
Yeah.
That was a friend of mine. She actually had that business. That went well, and then she closed that business down because she got a job with animal control and didn't have the hours to do that anymore. And subsequently, she's passed away now due to cancer, which is okay. I guess she's lived her life and she did what she had to do, and she left in a good way, right?
Yeah, fair.
And then before that, I was at a veterinary clinic from the age of I think I was 13 when I started there, and I think it was about 13 to 15 years that I worked for as a kennel attendant / vet tech. Never went to school for vet tech, but I was trained on the job.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So animals and nature.
That vet knew me since I was 8 because we used to take our dog there. So he used to say to me, Colette, I'm having a hard time diagnosing some of this stuff. And I'd run my hands over the dog and say, have you checked for, say, kidney enzymes or this or that, and he'd do the tests, and sometimes they would come back to exactly what I had suggested.
Spooky.
Yeah, crazy, eh?
Yeah, crazy, eh? You can tell we're so Canadian. You're the best.
Oh yeah.
Now, okay, let me talk about there's people watching this, right?
Yeah.
Hello to the people watching this. There's
Yeah.
three kinds of people. Three kinds. There's frontline
Yes.
workers, there's parents, there's
Yeah.
hopefully individuals with fetal alcohol.
Yeah.
If I have fetal alcohol, maybe I do or do not know, and I'm feeling down. I'm like in my teenage years. What's your advice to them who are struggling in terms of mental health or just not having a good time right now? What would be your advice to those people?
Ask for help. Ask for help. It doesn't have to be someone that's close to you. It could be a doctor. It could be your mom. It could be a friend. But definitely ask for help, because when you don't ask for help, you're going down that tunnel, and that tunnel just gets blacker and blacker and blacker as you go.
Was there a point that you didn't want to accept help?
Oh yeah. That was my teenage years. I could do it myself.
Wanted to be independent, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And even now, I'm mostly independent now. I get my dad to pay my rent because, I could do it, but I would prefer him to do it because I know there's going to be no issues.
And it takes a load off the brain, right? Like it's something you don't have to think about.
Yeah, totally. It's one bill that I don't have to cover. Well, I cover it, but I don't have to.
It makes sense. Yeah. And so you don't have to worry about that and maybe forget about paying it. And I'm the same way. Tara takes care of that stuff for me.
Yeah.
It's just, it gets done. Right? Like, because I would do it, but anybody who works with me knows that I need sometimes 2 or 3 reminders.
Yeah.
I'm always on the next thing. I'm always thinking ahead. Right. So she kind of pulls up the rear a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So how does your family work? There's two of you on the spectrum, and how does that? Is it a always ask for help attitude in your home?
It depends.
Work together.
Well, with my son, I tell him always ask, right? Because that way we know what's going on with him.
Yeah.
And if he needs help, he can always get it.
Right.
With me, I'll try to do it myself first. Yeah. And if I don't succeed, I'll try again. Mm-hmm. And then if I still don't succeed, then I'll start asking for help.
And so you said, I gave it a go.
Yeah, I tried.
Good stuff. Now, parents who are watching this, they're flipping out, right? I get emails every day, help, my kid's this and this. What would be your advice to the parents?
Hold on tight. You're going for a ride, but it gets better. It does get better.
That is so nice. It's true, right? Like,
oh yeah, totally. I'm not lying.
Yeah, because
my parents don't hate me anymore.
No, that took a while to get over. And
oh yeah. I could say that they really didn't trust me to be home, like a key for the house type thing.
Yeah.
Up until probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
How old are you now?
I'm 38 now, so that would have put me, maybe in the early 20s, in the middle there.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. But not at like 17, 18.
Oh, hell no. Yeah. Hell no. And I don't blame them.
Yeah.
At all. No.
So, but the advice to the parents, like, hang on, love them.
Yeah, love them, cherish them, and they're going to have some quirks. And they're going to do stuff that you don't agree with or you don't want them to do.
Yeah.
Try and steer them in the right direction. Mm-hmm. But also understand that they've got to learn for themselves. You can't push them in a direction because it's going to make them worse.
Right. You just got to do your best to limit the harm.
Yeah. Or what I found worked for myself, that I caught my parents doing, I don't think they realize, is trying to make it think that it was my idea to do it. Right. And it works.
Yeah. Okay. So whatever works. That's what this is all about. That's what this show is all about. Working, right? Whatever works. Enough of the textbook stuff. That's why you're the real expert,
I try, But
you're doing it. So So this is success. You are successful. You have kids. You have a job. You have a house. And it's not always perfect, but you maintain.
Well, that's it. You know what I mean? There'll be times when, because because I live somewhat rurally,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I can't get regular cable or regular internet.
Gotcha.
So it's all satellite. So there'll be times when the bill will come in and I'll be, you know, that's like $300. Okay.
Right.
So I'm putting in an extra couple hours at work just to pay those bills. So it gets interesting. You learn to cut corners.
Right. But that's normal stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's normal everyday stuff. You're just
Exactly.
You're living like the rest of us, buddy.
That's it. Totally.
Well, I
totally.
think you're awesome. What's next? Just living, or?
Well, live my life as best as possible.
Mm-hmm.
The dream has always been to buy my own piece of land.
Yeah.
Do some homesteading. Try and get off the grid as much as possible. Right now, I'm going to say 75% off grid.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really on grid is the cable, the internet, and the hydro. I heat the house with wood,
right?
You know, which we split and chop and stack ourselves. And
do you want to get off the grid because it's too much noise, or like what are you, old school like that? Like what's going on?
Kind of old school, and I kind of like that type of lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's an honest living. You know what I mean? It's not these fake, you know, type of lives of, you know, ants in an anthill type thing.
Yeah. You're just keeping it real, right?
That's it.
That's awesome. No, you're doing a great job. Because
and it saves the environment too.
And you're all about that. So
man.
You're just living the best you.
Yeah, I try. That's how you're supposed to do it, right?
And you advocate, and you know, you're in the media a lot, I see. So you're an important voice. I need you to keep it up. And you can't totally go off the grid, because I like following you on Facebook. Okay?
Oh, you'll never see me that far off grid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, make sure. So
yeah.
So the link is going to be in the description below if you want to follow Colette.
Yeah, I'm also on Instagram too.
We'll put her Instagram there as well, even right below the screen, because of the power of editing. I want to thank you, buddy. There's going to be people who see this, and then hopefully it shifts the way they think about, you know, what adult life is and can be, and individuals on the spectrum could see that you could get through if you're feeling like crap right now.
Yeah, I was about to say that word too.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to keep it down. I swear too much.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I just read on a post that you want to hang out with people who are disorganized and swear a lot, because supposedly they're a lot smarter than everybody else.
Well, then, Lord, girl, I'm a genius, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you very much, Colette. I really appreciate you joining us, and keep up the awesome work.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Wasn't that an awesome interview? Colette is an amazing lady. I am so thankful that she decided to come on and share her story with us. Fascinating. I love learning new things about folks. Like, for example, you know, Colette didn't read and didn't learn to read until grade 5 or 6. It wasn't until she found something interesting that she was interested that she decided to give it a try, right? I remember a good teacher once telling me, if interventions aren't linked to their interests, they won't be interested, right? So just keep that in mind. What else really stood out to me is I got notes here. Again, the Stephen King thing, it was something she was interested in, so she was ready to engage in learning. You know, she got the boot, right? She got kicked out of her home. Things weren't going well. She was on the street and a birth mom at the same token, but yet the one common factor we find through her life is that her parents stood by her side. Her mom and dad stood by her side. Even though it was really rough and really hard, they managed to stay with her and protect her and keep her safe as much as they possibly could. And eventually she made it through kicking addictions and drinking and abusive relationships. And now she's a mom. Even though her kids, you know, her kids, she's got kids on the spectrum. They're doing great, right? Her oldest, Kenny, is doing amazing. And so I'm super proud of her. And to go through all this trauma, abusive relationship, and to come out on the other end, that's what it's all about, man. Humans in general are resilient. She is resilient. Now, I'm showing you, if you got a kid that's, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even in that age range, I am not showing you this to scare you. I want to show you that, they can overcome. They will overcome. But the common denominator here is A, good environment, and B, their parents did not give up and stuck with them. Even though, they didn't, Colette didn't live at home for a while, they were still there for her, and it's awesome to see. And of course, she does advocacy all over the place. Her parents run FAS World, Brian Buxton and Brian and Bonnie Philcox, right? They're amazing people. She's an amazing girl, and I'm really so thankful that she decided to join us and share her story. Of course, you can follow her on Facebook. She's got a good outlook on things. So what's going on for me? Actually, just in a couple days, I am headed to Montreal Lake, which is in northern Saskatchewan. I'm going to be doing some training for, some frontline workers and talking to the community all about fetal alcohol. So I look forward to doing that. But guess what? I already got, episode 3 lined up. We're going to be speaking to somebody who is totally making change, and it's something that you might be able to get involved in, so look forward to seeing that. So this is it. This is episode number 2, and as long as I can, of course, we're gonna have Colin. I really appreciate that he could play music awesome, so I'm glad he was, and you guys seem to like it. So without further ado, here is Colin playing another tune. Thanks for watching. Check it out. You guys are awesome.
Dusty resolution, broke his back for higher contribution, but now he'll take anything. She was 1970, burning like a cigarette, long season, broke her hair for families, old treason. She makes love hard like an enemy. Oh my, he's dying. We did it again.